I'll try to stick to your question if I can. I don't have that license of age. I think the first lesson that I've thought about quite a lot at the time when I served on the IUCN Council is the point Wolfgang was making a point about the discussion that's going on about how to create a better, a more powerful organization than UNEP, how to transform UNEP into something bigger. And this has been a dream for a very long time, that people have said UNEP doesn't have teeth, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, and we need, if we're serious about the environment, that we need to give it teeth, we need to give it a better budget, we need to give it more muscle, and those sorts of things. And it's eluded us. It really has eluded us, and I don't believe that it's about to happen very quickly. And
I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I don't believe it's going to happen. Personally, I don't believe it's going to happen very quickly. I think that there are, and not because there isn't more of an interest and commitment to the environment, but I think that the global politics will not allow it. It's not about people's commitment to the environment, but politically, it would be very difficult to create new organizations, global organizations right now, because of the very skewed commitment to multilateralism. But what the environment and our work on the environment needs is a global approach and a multilateral approach, simply because of the picture from space. The planet is one ecosystem, and so we need a truly global approach to this. And there is no other institution that can compare to the IUCN on this matter. And I think that we must continue to put effort in strengthening and building the IUCN, because it's there. If you tried to create something like the IUCN today, it won't be possible, it won't work. There will be too many questions. People will want to know, is this an agenda coming from Europe? Is it an agenda coming from the United States? Is it something the Americans are behind again? Or is it something which, the developing countries will, the voting system will be debated forever, and who contributes the money, and what its agenda should be, and where it should be located. Would be that would take a whole decade to decide where the headquarters should be. But we have the IUCN. We are very fortunate that some of the people sitting in this room had the foresight, and others they worked with to create something like the IUCN. It's the only organization that brings us all together, really, from all of the backgrounds, different fields, all of the environmental organizations, scientific, not very scientific, dispassionate, passionate, etc., and governments. And this is the global approach that IUCN makes possible. And hence, we should not underestimate the actual impossibility of creating something like this in today's fraught world. I think when it happened in the late 1940s, the world didn't really see what was creeping up on it. And maybe that's why it was allowed to happen, But it is a big and powerful organization, and it has made, I think, a tremendous impact. The first is the convening power. Just the mere fact that we can get everybody together. In Barcelona we had a wonderful debate about GMOs and stuff like that, and I have no doubt we'll have the debate here again. But that's what you need, a global debate on these things, and this is where it happens. It's a truly global debate. And it's the only place which brings together activists, experts, and government people, and bureaucrats, and people with power and people without power, scientists, all together to talk about the thing. Because sometimes in the multilateral, intergovernmental forums, the scientists actually don't have a voice. You have professional negotiators that's their job. Their job is to conduct a good negotiation, not necessarily to achieve something on the environment or anything, but to conduct negotiations. That is the end in itself. The IUCN for me has made an impact which sometimes is not fully appreciated. because, you know, people talk about the work being done in silos. So, for example, if you talk about species work, that there is, I think, there has been a gradual, deeper thinking about a broader approach rather than just a species approach, which is correct scientifically, and from a rational point of view, it's completely correct. But I think the people that have done the species work in the Species Survival Commission have made a tremendous impact on the global environmental effort. Because for the world, it's easier often to understand things if you do, as Sylvia has just done, talk about whales and what's happened to whales. You know, it's a bit easier to understand. In my own country, we've got this massive problem with rhino poaching that's been going on in the recent years. It's a big issue, big problem, crime problem, and all sorts of problems, etc. But I think had it not been for the scientific work that had been done over the decades, we would have been in real trouble, especially with the black rhino. Truth of the matter is we're not in real trouble. Poaching is a big problem. It's a serious problem. It's uncontrollable proportions, etc. But if you go back and look at the actual scientific work that has been done, we can say to ourselves that over a period of 4 decades, things have got better and not worse. And that's what science allows you to do, is to look at the thing in a more rational sort of way. But also, just with that Commission's work, the red data list is of incalculable value. There are so many people and institutions and publications that talk about red data species, but this is a red data thing. People wouldn't even know where it comes from or who puts this together. And, you know, people have stopped asking, are these a group of rational people who put this together? Is it a proper balance in the voting between rich and poor countries when they decide which goes where, which species you're up on the list and which species you're down on? People don't ask those questions. It has an authority which is immense. And the impact of that goes beyond the species themselves. So, similarly, I think one can say about protected areas. There was an old-fashioned view of protected areas. You take an area, look after it, etc., etc. But of course, nature doesn't know how to just survive within the boundaries of a demarcated protected area. So we've moved on from there. But I still think there's nothing like a protected area to focus the minds of people and to change the hearts of people. And I know in my own country, one of the best ways of getting people to think actively about the environment is to get them to spend a bit of time in a Kruger National Park. And it just makes, it does something to people. You know, I'm not a very spiritual person, but it does something to people, you know. And so I think that's important. I think it's easier to understand. You know, it's easier to understand a tiger reserve, the Sundarbans, or, you know, something of that sort. And here, the IUCN has made, had it not been for the IUCN, I don't believe we would have the system of protected areas, both terrestrial and marine protected areas that we have currently. And then, of course, the work on law, the development of a body of law for the civilized governance of global commons. You know, that has been a monumental effort. It wasn't taken for granted a few years ago, and there are still people now who don't think that, you know, global commons needs a common sort of body of statutes. You know, there are powerful nations who don't believe that, and so I think IUCN has made a big contribution in that. On building on that part of the work, I think that I'm reminded about something which Ashok Khosla had said, not at the last Congress, but at the previous Congress in Bangkok, when we were on a panel and you'd asked the question, you said, you know, will people ever consider the destruction or protection of the environment as an ethical question? Will we ever get there? You'd ask that question then. And it's a question that does remain with me, and I think that the Law Commission needs to do more work on this. I think that we're getting more and more there, but this is something which more work needs to be done. I had boastfully told you at the time, you may or may not remember, that in the South African Constitution, the Bill of Rights, one of the rights in the Bill of Rights is the right to a protected environment. You know, and it was sort of the South African Constitution, I like to boast and say it was one of the first constitutions that entrenched it as a fundamental human right. You know, it was an early forerunner as far as that's concerned. But that's an area which more work needs to be, the area of ethics and how to codify this thing in that kind of direction. You know, it's the question of right and wrong, because often when we approach this thing from a scientific point of view, the scientists, or when we think with our scientific hats on, we don't think that something is ethically right or wrong. We're looking at it from a scientific point of view. Let's taking a scientific approach, and the scientific approach, is a bit different from an ethical and moral approach to this question. But that's where I think the law people, I think, and IUCN is a good place to do it, because IUCN is actually a non-threatening environment, interestingly enough. We may think we have huge debates and fights with each other, which we do, but it's all in a teacup. If one really looks at it, it's not like big fights. They aren't like, IUCN isn't divided into like 2 or 3 big factions like the United Nations is. There isn't that kind of huge, powerful factionalism of power and interest. You get more sort of individuals, so-and-so irritating me. I want to be this, I want to be that. And we get quite excited about it, and I'm sure you did get that during your time. I used to during my time, but when you leave the presidency, you realize it's sort of like in-house squabbles, more than anything else. So I think it's a good place to be doing this kind of bigger work, part of which we try to do with the renowned thinkers forum. Julia would remember, we had produced a report during the time there. Just a last point I want to make, and that is on the marine thing. I'm not that optimistic, but I still think that we're allowing the world to get away with no sufficient law and order on the high seas.
I agree.
We're still allowing it. I'm not optimistic about that, and I think it's the powerful who don't want law, because if you are running a fleet of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, then you say to yourself, but that's the law. Why do we need a global, approach on this sort of matter? I still worry about that quite a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, getting on that, we are facing a changing world with economical crisis, political processes, and as you say, we maybe cannot be that optimistic in some points. Even that politicians know that things are happening, that, for example, in the high seas, we are facing very big challenges. They are not taking the right decisions. So how IUCN can face this, how IUCN can involve politicians more in these processes in order to take decisions in the right way.
Thank you very much. But let me first of all thank and congratulate both Ashok and Julia for thinking of putting such a group together. Because I think as organizations get old, there's need both for continuity and change. Continuity in terms of its core values, change wherever necessary caused by a number of external circumstances, and therefore I hope a few ideas which have been given will be useful to IUCN. Let me, before I come to your problem, let me say, I think IUCN's backdrop, the backdrop of IUCN's birth was the World War II and the use of atom bombs, because this is very much the concern of Sir Julian Huxley, who played an important part in the development of IUCN. And as you see over the years, I think there's a growing violence in the human heart. And Mahatma Gandhi in my country said, how can you be non-violent to nature if you are going to be violent to each other? And that's very clear now. In the previous meeting on nature plus climate, a description was given how the elephants are being slaughtered. And my own country, rhinos are slaughtered for just that one horn and so on. And you open up any media, so many deaths, that's what highlighted. Even a peaceful country like Norway, a person who was considered to be sane thought he can kill so many people. For what purpose? I think I believe very strongly that we must address some of the basic problems which come in the way of harmony with nature, whatever you want to say, part of nature. I think one is the growing violence in the human heart, among young people also. Shooting in schools, very common in the US now. People just have a gun and they take lives. In fact, after World War II, the other organization which was born was the Pugwash Conference. Albert Einstein and Bertrand Russell, you know their famous statement, remember your humanity, then everything will go well. And that was formed for the purpose of ensuring that we have a nuclear peril-free world. And by and large, I think they have succeeded. But fear now is enriched uranium is available. You can get technology from the internet. If non-state actors start taking nuclear terrorism, then it will be a dangerous thing. And the amount of damage, not only in terms of life,